Let's continue by talking about the three types of solutions we may get when we're solving equations. The one we've been talking about previously was the conditional equation. It's when we solve for x and we got a single solution. That's called a conditional. When we solve for x and we lose all the variables, if we get a true statement, then that's going to be an identity. And if I solved all the equation out and I lost my variables and I got a false statement, I would have a contradiction. So let's make a little more sense of this and see how they work out with some actual examples. So we start with number 7. This is simplified. This is simplified. So let's go ahead and begin working. Move x terms all on one side, so we get 2x minus 9. Get x by itself, so I want to move 9 to the other side. And then that would give me 2x is equal to 22. Divide both sides by 2, and x is equal to 11. This leads to a single solution, just like the ones we did previously, and it is called a conditional. So if I tag the name to it, it is a conditional. Okay, and it has one unique solution. Alright, we move to number 8, and we see we need to do a lot of simplifying. I need to distribute, add like terms, simplify. This side is already simplified, so we just really need to do our work over here. 6x minus 10 minus 4x. Add like terms, 6 minus 4 is 2x. Okay, and now we're trying to simplify. This side is simplified. We're trying to move all the variables to one side. So minus 2x minus 2x. This cancels, and I have negative 10 left. This cancels as well. When your variables cancel, you automatically know you're working with a special case. And we simply ask ourselves, is this a true statement or a false statement? Since this is a false statement, that means our answer has no solution, and it's called more specifically, a contradiction. It doesn't matter what number we pick for x, it will give us a false statement. So let's move to number 9. We need to distribute and simplify. 6x minus 15 is equal to 6x minus 15. Left-hand side is simplified. The right-hand side is simplified. Let's start moving all the x terms to one side and all the constants to the other. Well, it happens again. I lose my variable. I lose my variable again, but this time I have a true statement. When you lose the variables, it's a special case, and then you determine it's a true statement, so this is called an identity. Sometimes it's also known as all real numbers, meaning any number that I pick for x and I substitute it in will give me a true statement. So those are our special cases. The next thing, we get a little bit of practice in solving for a specific variable. Our goal this time is to get t by itself. So you ask yourself, what did they do to t? They multiplied by r. Well, we do the inverse of that, which is divide both sides by r. Whatever you do to one side, do to the other. So we get d over r is equal to t. And we're done. Over here, if we're solving for k, I see that I have a k here and a k here. First of all, I need to be able to get those together. So what I want to do is take out a common factor. So I'm going to say s is equal to, they both have a k in common. If I was to take a k out of this term, I would have r squared left. Plus, if I took the k out of this term, I would just have rl left. So that's factoring out the k. Now our goal is to ultimately get this by itself. So if I say, what did they do to k? You would say, well, they multiplied by everything in that parenthesis, And the inverse of multiplying is to divide by everything in the parenthesis. Whatever you do to one side, do to the other. And then we can see that this cancels and we're left with k is equal to s over r squared plus rl. And this is solving for our k. Those take a little bit of practice, but you'll get used to those. Just always focus on your rules for solving equations and stay consistent with it, and you should be fine. We're going to look at two more of these. We're going to distribute first, simplify first. 11y plus 8. Over here we would get 8y plus 10w minus 6z. We're trying to get y by itself. Okay, the first thing I need to do is get this y and this y together on the same side. So say minus 8y. So then that gives me 3y plus 8 is equal to 10w minus 6z. I'm going to move 8 to the other side by subtracting 8. That would give me 3y is equal to 10w minus 6z minus 8. And the last step to get y by itself is divide everything by a 3. So this would cancel. Y would equal to 10w minus 6z minus 8 over 3 would be our solution. Alright, over here in number 13, my goal is to get s by itself. But first of all, I see a fraction right here, and I want to get rid of the fraction. So if I can, since the denominator is a 4, I'm going to multiply by 4. If that was 1/5, I'd multiply everything by 5. If this was 1/8, I'd multiply everything by 8. So pretty much your denominator denotes what you're going to multiply both sides by. So this gives you a 4a. This 4 cancels this 4, and that just gives me 1h, which is h, s plus b. Now, this needs to be distributed. So, hs plus hb. Everything's distributed and simplified. Now we're ready to solve. Our goal is to ultimately get this term by itself first and then get the s by itself. So I see that I need to move this to the other side by doing the inverse of it. So I'm going to subtract. 4a, these are not like terms, so I can only list them. Now, if they multiply by h, then I divide both sides by h, because we want to get s by itself. So then that would cancel, and we would have 4a minus h over b divided by h is equal to our s. Alright, number 14. Paul borrowed $2,580 to buy new kitchen appliances. He will pay off the loan in 9 months at a simple interest rate of 6%. How much interest will he pay? First of all, I'm going to start by giving you our interest formula, which is I equals PRT, your principal, your rate, and your time. P is your principal, R is your rate, and T is your time. So it says how much interest, so we're looking for I. The principal is the amount you start with, so that's this, 2,580. The rate is your interest rate right here, and you always write as a decimal, so move 2 places to the left. When you change from a percent to a decimal, 6% is equal to 0.06 as a decimal, so I need to do my rate as a decimal. And then 9 months out of a year would be 9 months out of 12 months in 1 year. So I have to represent that since it's not a full year. And then I multiply that out to find out that the interest is about $116.10. That's how much interest he will pay.